Am I the a-hole for telling my wife that I won't be quitting my job to be a stay-at-home dad, even though she's quitting hers to be a stay-at-home mom? Basically this. My wife, 26 female, and I, 32 male, are expecting our first child in June. My wife is an orthodontist and I work in tech. Both of us earn pretty decent and contribute equally to the household. My wife has been debating whether she should take a break from her career for 2 to 3 years to focus on our baby. She's leaning more towards becoming a stay-at-home mom. I obviously would support whatever she decides. If she wants to be a stay-at-home mom for a while, that's good. And if she decides she wants to continue with her career, we have enough resources to hire a full-time babysitter. We've had many discussions over it, and it always ends up with her wanting to be a stay-at-home mom. Yesterday, she told me that she came up with this idea. She'll be the stay-at-home mom for the first 2 years, and after that, I quit my job and become a stay-at-home dad for a while. I told her that if she wants to be a stay-at-home mom, that's her choice, and I would help her with the baby in every way possible. But I don't think I'd like to quit my job. I suggested that we could just hire a full-time babysitter whenever she feels like she's ready to go back to working. My wife thought I was being mean and unreasonable and selfish, and putting my career over my family, and stormed off. I did try apologizing for arguing because I don't want to make her so upset during this phase of the pregnancy, but she's refusing to even talk to me. She's told about this to her parents, and I've been getting texts from them saying that I'm not treating their daughter right. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. That's a delusional expectation for her to have. No one wants gap years in their resume without careful consideration, especially in the tech industry where everything is very fast-paced. I had a baby last March, and I work 1 day a week for this exact reason. No gaps. Luckily, I have a close relationship with my employers and they are okay with this. Not the a-hole. Not at all. Not everyone wants to be a stay-at-home parent. That's what she wants. She really can't expect you to stay home if she wants to stay home. Absolutely right. I would never want to be a stay-at-home parent. I love my kids, but I also like having a job outside of the home. It just wouldn't work for me, and that's okay. It's also okay to desire to be a stay-at-home parent, but you can't force that on anyone. Not the a-hole. If you are supporting her choice, she should support your choice. If there were financial issues with taking care of the child, things could get more complicated. But as stated, that doesn't seem to be an issue here. Not the a-hole. Being a working parent does not make you a bad parent. She clearly wants to have a full-time parenting experience, and that's great that you can both make that happen. But it makes no sense to force either of you to do that if that's not what you want to do, especially when you have the resources for high-quality care regardless. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my fiancé that my friend's trauma is more important than her comfort? My best friend lost a parent a year and a half ago, which led him to a mental health crisis. Our friend group has been picking up the pieces ever since. He's doing much better now that he's in therapy, but he's definitely gone through it. What has complicated matters worse is my fiancé. It goes without saying that I love her, but she's the definition of a busybody sometimes. My best friend is a very private person. She knows something happened with him, but she doesn't know the details of what that something is. She probably never will, but because she's around me and my friends often as we live in the same house, she hears bits and pieces of the story and presses for more information. I try to circumvent this as best I can. For example, I step out of the room for specific phone conversations. But still, it's hard to limit the discussion about it sometimes. If it's necessary we bring it up and she's around in person, we'll refer to the Nolan situation without giving specifics. Nolan will also stop by my place at night when he can't sleep. This doesn't happen all that often, maybe twice a month. He'll text me or call me saying he's outside. I'll go sit with him and maybe smoke a little bit, then I'll head home. I wait up until I know he got home safely, then I go back to sleep. My fiancé hates this. She claims the phone calls always wake her up, which they don't. She just sometimes happen to wake up for the bathroom while I'm outside. And that me not being in bed is alarming. This brings us to last night. Nolan stopped by, and when I came back inside, my fiancé said she was putting a stop to it. She said all the sneaking around is making her paranoid. She doesn't feel like she can properly trust me or be a part of my friend group without knowing the details, and that Nolan needs to stop relying on me so much. I told her that no matter whether we're married, dating, whatever, she will never have any ownership over my friend's trauma, and that she was never going to be able to order me around in regards to it. I also said her comfort was less important than someone's actual physical well-being. She was obviously hurt by this and went to stay with her mom after work today. Am I the a-hole? Edit. She knows Nolan lost a parent. She doesn't know the aftermath beyond the statement that he had a mental health crisis. Yes, he has specifically asked me to not tell her. You're the a-hole. Imagine everyone code talking around you. Your fiancé stepping out to take phone calls and having secret meetups in the middle of the night that you can't ask about. Being excluded and made to wonder to that degree would make anyone crazy. If she came here, I'd tell her to leave you immediately. If I were the fiancé, I'd think my partner was cheating with one of his friends, and his friends are helping to cover it up. Right? And what's with all the secrecy? You're fine telling strangers on the internet, but you can't just tell the person you're marrying that your friend lost a parent and it affected him in a really bad way. Instead, you're choosing to make her feel like she's crazy. That's the kind of behavior that wedges huge unforgivable crevices in a relationship. You're the a-hole. The issue is that Opie completely rejects her feelings and says they don't matter, which is the wrong approach. Opie doesn't have to say a thing more than what he has said, but he needs to do better in making his fiancée know that her feelings are as valid as well. None of that involves saying anything more about Nolan's issue more than what he said. You're the a-hole. But honestly, I think Nolan is emotionally manipulating you at this point. There is a major difference between being intensely private and using this event as emotional leverage to get your group to drop whatever for him. Nothing bonds people like freaking trauma, but your whole friend group takes this to an extreme. After reading that Nolan only shows up to your apartment and reacting insanely to being asked, "How are you doing?" by your fiancé, it is not normal to lash out at that question even if you are private. It's a very normal question, and I'm sure he was asked by numerous other people than her. Opie, I really think you need to evaluate whether or not your friend is really emotionally needy or just doesn't want to lose you to your fiancé. Also, I have many other questions, but truly you're an unreliable narrator. I think we need to hear the fiancé's side to confirm my thoughts. So glad someone mentioned the friend's manipulative behavior. Wonder how supportive Nolan would be if someone else experienced a loss. Sounds like the kind of person who would make it all about them somehow. An entire friend group is dealing with this a year and a half later? Seriously? There's more here. Definitely an unreliable narrator. I took a look at Opie's replies and he said this: "I'll take a little sleep deprivation and a few yawns at work any day over not being there for someone I love." Is it just me, or is Opie way more invested in Nolan than his fiancé? Is Opie more in love with Nolan than her? If so, he needs to let her go for her own benefit. She should not be second-fiddled in his heart. Nolan is someone I love, but fiancé is a busybody? Yikes. Next story. Am I the a-hole? Sister-in-law wants to apologize 4 years later. So this one is a doozy. Buckle up, folks. So I met this woman, 34 at the time. We'll call her Jess, when I was 28. My brother Kurt, 24 at the time, also worked with us. He's a married man at this point. Her and I started sleeping with each other with no real crazy strings attached, but certain agreements nonetheless. If you're sleeping with other people, let me know, etc. Including a rule that she made, stating she'd never sleep with my brother. Well, a few months passed and it's my birthday, so I threw a party at my house. Weirdly, Jess, my brother and my brother's wife didn't show up and didn't answer any of my messages. Wouldn't you know it, Kurt was cheating on his wife with Jess. Not only did this create a tumultuous relationship with my brother, but I had to uproot my work environment for a new place and new friends as Jess lied and told people we never did anything together. So they thought I was a jerk. Then my parents even got involved and begged me, knowing what he did, to allow him to stay with me after his wife threw him out. Then Jess and Kurt get married. So now she's my sister-in-law. And in the 4+ years, she's never apologized. Kurt isn't the greatest there either. They have also never even attempted to be an aunt or uncle to their only nephew. In 4+ years, I think they bought him 1 present, maybe 2. They've never asked to visit, planned a day with him, nor even FaceTime to say hi in 4 years. Now, she sends me an email out of the blue, only after I've been saying for years how super insane this all is, to apologize to me. She didn't even spell my wife's name right in the email, nor acknowledge her lack of even attempting to act like an aunt or a family member. And I'm 100% certain her parents and family don't actually know the real story, and they've reached out to invite me to places, including ruining our family's Christmas with my parents by flying in, and my parents even chose to go over there, instead of being with their only grandson. Am I the a-hole for not supporting their marriage, attempts to have children, or general want for them to be around as a family in a way that could directly affect my family's life? Now for the comments. Somebody somewhere put pressure on your former lover to apologize to you, and she did do poorly. You don't have to know nor care who is pulling your strings. My guess is that they want something, but I am a suspicious person. Just because we are offered an apology doesn't mean we have to accept it. You would be a saint if you did. Are you a saint? You know you don't have to be. Not the a-hole. I am sure your life is rich and full even without your brother and a second wife in it. I bet they want money. He said they're trying to have kids, maybe infertility. I bet they want him to be the sperm donor. Not the a-hole. To me, cheating with your sibling's significant other is a loud and clear "I don't care to keep you in my life anymore" declaration. If my sister did that, I'd accept her for who she is and say, "Message received and registered, all the best," and honor her life choices by never speaking to her again. Another tack you could take, ask if she's making amends by correcting prior lies she spread about you and being honest about her actions. If the answer is anything other than a clear and full yes, say that you want to support her journey in living a better life. But playing along with her lies will only enable her to further hurt herself and others. So you'll wait till she's ready to begin an honest life. Then wait. Not the a-hole. And for what it's worth, for anyone reading this, if you're hooking up with someone and she says to you out loud, "I've got a rule that I've made for myself, that I'll never sleep with your brother," you stop hooking up with that person, because that is an insane thing to say. Huge red flag in retrospect. I'm just gonna say it though. I think she's beating around the bush with this apology and wants money. Like, for example, money to help her have a baby. They definitely want something. People like her don't just apologize out of the blue unless it's for their own potential gain. Not the a-hole. Last story. Am I the a-hole for telling my friend she's losing friends because her world revolves around her kid? So I, 20 female, have a friend, let's call her Anne, 23 female, who got pregnant from a one-night stand. The father didn't want to do anything with the child, so she is a single mother. Her daughter, Kate, 2 years old, is really cute. I love babysitting her, but she's all Anne cares about now. For example, she often cancels meetings with friends because of her. I understand that sometimes things come up, but this happens often and she gives reasons like, "Kate is really clingy today," or "Kate really wants to go to the zoo." And even if she is there, her daughter is all she can talk about. She shows us a bunch of pictures, talks about her sleeping, eating habits, her diaper content, her favorite songs, everything. And while I would be interested in them, if you don't stop her, she can literally talk about this for hours. And even if I try to change subjects, the topic of Kate comes up again and again. A week ago, we had a 2-hour-long coffee meet. And when I asked a server for some water, she said, "I want Kate to drink more water." And then for the rest of the meet, it was about how she wants to teach Kate to drink more water. Yesterday, I babysat Kate, and I stayed there after and put her to sleep. We started talking, and the topic of being a single mother came up shortly. She told me how hard it is to parent alone, and how distant she feels from her peers. I tried to be emphatic, because I understand that being a young single parent is always challenging. But then she said how people show their true colors, and listed a few of our friends who have been distant with her. She called them fake friends and witches, which I don't like. I told her that most of those friends wanted to be child-free, and that maybe talking about Kate made them uncomfortable. She dismissed it, and said that if they were true friends, they would love her kid as much as her. I told her that she is having unrealistic expectations, and that just because her world revolves around Kate, it doesn't mean that everybody's too. She got really upset and accused me of shaming her for being a single mother. I told her I'm just trying to point out that not everybody cares as much about Kate as her. That her constantly talking about her kid can be tiring. She got angry and told me to leave, so I did. Today I woke up with angry messages from our friends saying that Anne is a struggling mom, and I should have shown her support. I feel bad about how I phrased it, but I don't think that I was being an a-hole here. I do understand that Kate is a very big part of her life and that she wants to talk about her, but I think there is a healthy limit to that. I am closer to Kate than most of our friends. Some of them never even met her, so it is like hearing about a stranger's every little habit all the time. But tell me, am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. Unless you're drastically altering your phrasing for us here, what you said wasn't ridiculous. It was factual and valid. She pushed and is pushing her friends away by only having one topic of conversation and expecting everyone to be as excited about it as she is. She can join a mommy group for that. OP, tell your friends they can support her better by actually babysitting for her and for hanging out with her more. You, the unsupportive friend, should take a step back and not babysit or visit as often. Not the a-hole. I think you were trying to do her a favor by telling her that when she's with friends, they want to talk about things other than her child. I mean, I get it. I was a single mom for a while too. But honestly, there were times I would go out with friends and absolutely not want to talk about my daughter or the mommy part of my life. I just wanted to be an adult hanging out with my adult friends. The friends that are blowing up your phone, do they have an issue with her going on and on about Kate? It is actually really weird, because the same friends that usually complain about Anne talking about her child are the same friends who are angry at me. I think they feel like it's okay to say this when she doesn't hear it, but not okay to say it to her face. Not the a-hole. These friends are being fake. If you wouldn't say it to your friend's face, then you shouldn't feel comfortable saying it behind their back. You weren't shaming her for being single. OP, I dump all of your fake friends. Anne's going to come running trying to guilt you into babysitting again, because the other friends that stabbed you in the back won't. And guess what your other friends will do because you won't babysit anymore? They'll try to guilt you too. How good of a friend is Anne if she's monopolizing conversations with her friends without their input? She's obviously not listening to any of you, except to steer your conversations back to what she wants to talk about.